is not just about numbers, but it's also about faithfully managing what's been entrusted to us. And that's really a hard issue, right?
Right.
Stewardship. It's like the underpinnings, the values and belief system through which we're operating.
Well, hey guys, welcome to Distilled. We are back again with Joseph from Martus. We have our first episode, if you haven't seen it, where we talk about why ministry leaders resist budgeting. And today we're actually going to be getting into reframing budgeting as a stewardship-based framework. So Joseph, lead us in.
Yeah, this is a huge topic about, addressing people's perceptions on that disconnect we talked a little bit about last time from budgeting and their spiritual work, and being able to help them see this as part of a faithful ministry with stewardship. And so I kind of skimmed over it just a little bit in the prior podcast, but ministry isn't just about the visible. It involves the behind the scenes planning and stewardship that many people don't see. People think of ministry as that hands-on work with people. I've got to get ready for Sunday, and then we're doing ministry on Sunday. Obviously, we're with people doing ministry through the week, but there's always stewardship in all of this, right? Our time, our money, other resources. I think as pastors and leaders, we need to help the team build that bridge to see how all of this connects. I like to think of stewardship as both an education issue as well as a heart issue. In other words, it's not just about numbers, but it's also about faithfully managing what's been entrusted to us. And that's really a hard issue, right? Stewardship. It's like the underpinnings, the values and belief system through which we're operating. And so we should be framing budgeting as that spiritual discipline that's rooted in scripture, right? The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, as a psalm would say. And so everything belongs to him, and budgeting is simply planning how best to use those resources for his purposes.
Yeah, that's really good. It makes me think, Dan, we've talked a lot about how Jesus himself talks about money a lot and how it is a heart issue. Do you want to speak a little bit into how that ties into this?
Yeah, for sure. You see it in Matthew. He says, where your treasure is, there your heart is also. What's interesting, as you were talking, Joseph, I just thought one of the things we talk about in Distilled is when good is the enemy of the great. And if you're not intentional to plan ahead, which the Bible also calls people to, count the cost, understand the cost before you do something. If you don't do that, then you're going to go do a bunch of good things for the kingdom. But if you want your ministry to be about the great things, the things that God's uniquely called you and your ministry to, it does take planning. Now, there's faith in it. Sometimes it happens in a different way than we plan, but often that happens through being intentional upfront. Instead of just spending money, let's spend it on the best things so that we can have the greatest impacts for the kingdom.
Totally. Yeah. I think we should be positioning the budget as planning with purpose, right?
Yeah.
Because it's really an intentional way to align the resources with the church's mission. It's not just that dry technical exercise. I would say that financial faithfulness is actually part of our spiritual faithfulness, just like prayer, teaching, and worship. Stewarding resources is an act of obedience and worship.
It's a tangible metric on how we are doing it. Where's the money going to? You can't really put a number to your prayer life, but you can put a number to how you are stewarding resources. That's a great connection there of a spiritual discipline for sure. Hey, we wanted to pause the show real quick and tell you about something exciting that we have going on here at Parable.
If creating your church's budget feels overwhelming, you're not alone. Most pastors weren't trained in church budgeting, yet they're expected to lead with clarity.
That's why we created Parable Budgeting University, a 4-week live online program designed to help pastors like you create a mission-aligned budget that you can trust. You'll walk away with a finalized budget, practical tools, and confidence to lead your church well.
Join us and take the overwhelm out of budgeting. Head to liveyourparable.com/budgeting university to learn more. All right, let's get you back to the show. So how can we address the perception that budgeting is disconnected from spiritual work and instead help leaders see it as part of faithful ministry stewardship?
Yes, connecting it to God's, connecting budgeting, I would say, to God's greater mission, even. And I think we can start by clarifying that greater purpose, kind of similar to what I was saying before. Everything we do is to be done for the glory of God in this context, or anything in general as Christians. And so it's not about our own agendas. When we're reading scripture, not only do I look at what the scripture is saying, but I'll often think about what it's not saying. And very simply put here, when we're considering getting buy-in from ministry leaders and connecting that to the greater purpose or mission, the question becomes, whose glory are we really after? The Apostle Paul says, do all to the glory of God.
Yeah.
He didn't say, do all to the glory of man. or myself or my ministry or even my church. I think it's a great blessing and opportunity and challenge we have to come alongside others as pastors and leaders and not just give them the right tools, but to really engage them in that deeper and eternal purpose of why we even do what we're doing here.
That's really good. Are there practical ways that we can do that, that we can make those connections for ministry leaders?
Yeah, so I think getting in agreement or an alignment on this, there's sometimes some common causes of problems that could be seen in relationships or just poor communication and, financial disagreement sometimes. But having alignment around this big purpose is going to give us good communication, have a good financial plan that's going to reflect the best path forward for the church at this time and in this context. And so communication is key here, understanding the bigger purpose and how the church's mission is going to align with God's greater agenda there. Sometimes I'm afraid that we can be very territorial, right? If we lose focus of that bigger purpose, this is my ministry's money.
Right.
But if we can shift that focus to, hey, there's a greater mission, there's a bigger picture, and then being able to, align budgets with those eternal purposes.
I love that perspective. And also to not make it feel like it's finance versus ministry. So often
Right.
it's like, and I've seen it not in a church context, but in a different context where kind of the controller, financial person, they had put over his placard, Captain No. And that's what sometimes people feel like with finances. It's just the person that's going to tell you, no, you can't, no, you can't. And instead of that being the tension, how do we get it all aligned where hey, we're not going to do that because that's not the most important thing. But we can do these other things because those are the most important things, and getting everyone aligned on these are the things we're going to prioritize. So our dollars are going towards that.
Yeah. Yeah. Those financial conversations become more about kingdom impact instead of personal preferences.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. Love that.
That's so good. Okay, give it to me straight. What is one takeaway or action item every pastor needs to take from this episode?
So I think ultimately budgets aren't just financial documents, right? They're discipleship tools that shape how a church lives out its calling. So I'd sum it up by saying that planning with eternity in view keeps the church's focus on God's mission and not just maintaining operations and ministries. We've put together, again, a budgeting season toolkit to help you put this into practice.
You can find that toolkit at churchfinancemadesimple.com and in the show notes for this episode. So where can people find out more about you and about Martus?
I direct you to martussolutions.com. We have a cloud-based software that focuses on collaborative, user-friendly budgeting and reporting. Again, that's martussolutions.com. And from there, you can get more information, schedule a demo, and our team can help answer any questions that you may have.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much. And we'll catch you in our third and final episode.
Yeah. Thanks, Joseph. This has been
You
great.
bet. Yeah, thank you.